Everybody, I am very excited that you have decided to join me to find out whether it is third time lucky or third time unlucky for this clock mould. So as it says on the tin, I have attempted this twice already. I'll show you what went wrong the first two times. The first time I didn't burnish in my powders good enough, so you can see that the powders have floated to where they shouldn't be. Also here I accidentally knocked over a tub of powder and it landed on here. I think it was the red. So I cleaned it up, but that somehow affected the adherence of the colour that I wanted to use to the mould. So I ended up with some bald patches. And that's about it really. That was the failure on this one. But as an aside, I used the chameleon powders the first time. So this is the reddest from this pack. So that is what I used. It came out a purpley pink. After making this one, I found out that they have made some chrome powders, and the red on this one is gorgeous, and it does actually come out red on your finished piece. But that one, I haven't got the actual piece here to show you it, but I have got photos of it that I will show you. What went wrong with that one was it didn't cure. So I ended up having to put it in the freezer so that I could demold it. So that one came out lovely. I think it came out lovely in terms of the mica powders not floating. I'll have to check that when I look at my photo later. But certainly it had lovely red on it, but it just didn't cure. So this is a fairly simple project in terms of viewing it for you guys. What I'm going to do is I'm going to replicate this colour scheme as well, except with the chrome powders. So it'll be silver numbers. Oh, I also got quite a lot of bubbles in this one, didn't I? So I'm going to do silver numbers, the silver tracking around the edge, blue in the clock, red for the inner edges of the wings, and the black. First step is paint on my powders and make sure I properly burnish them in. Then I will pour a layer of the black resin. I'll show you the resin in a moment, but I won't fill it. I will do it in 2 layers because, let me see if it did it on the back of this one. That's what I did with this one. I did 2 layers because I know the piece will be ruined if mica powders move around on the front of the piece anyway, but I also want it to look nice on the back. Assuming that it will work this time and look nice on the front, I'd like it to look nice on the back as well. So by doing it in 2 layers, if any mica powders are going to lift, they won't be visible. They'll be settled on the back of the first layer, and then when I put the second layer on, you'll get a lovely pure black finish on the back because the powders won't move again for that second layer. Now I do have black pigments, but for larger projects I fancied giving the Let's Resin black epoxy a try, and it is lovely. That is what I used there. So that's a simple project. Paint on the powders, do a layer of black resin. When that's cured, come back and do another layer of black resin. So I don't want this video to be too short, but I don't want it to be too long either. I am literally going to time-lapse you for putting on the powders. If there's anything that I think you need to know, I will stop the time-lapse and come back to you. But in a nutshell, the powder that touches the surface is the one that will show through on the finished piece. So the order that I will do this in, I'll do it the lighter colour first, so the silver first, because if I get any blue, if I was to do the blue first, and if I was to get any blue on the numbers and not clean it up properly, that will affect the sharpness of the silver edges. So silver first, and then it doesn't matter when I come to do the blue, I could literally go over the silver and it won't affect the results. So I think that's all that I need to explain for now. I will get my mask on. I do suggest you use a mask for using powders because you wouldn't believe how much powder floats around in the air. I will not speak now because I'm going to time lapse you. that is the best I can clean that up. I'm just seeing never-ending little bits of silver here and there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave that a little bit, because I don't know whether when I cleaned this up and it still affected the mould to not let the next powder adhere. I don't know whether that's because I'd used alcohol and that I hadn't let the alcohol evaporate, or whether I'd used baby wipes and the baby wipe liquid had affected the surface of the mould. I don't know. I couldn't even remember at the time. So I'm going to leave them for a little while to let that fully dry off, and then I will come back to do the next colour. Okay, I am back. I'm going to get on with the blue next. So I will put you back on another time lapse. So it doesn't look like I cleaned up all the silver brilliantly. I don't think that colour of the clock face is going to turn out that brilliantly. So I'm going to go and do this, and then I'll be able to see better where the colours need improving. Well, it is what it is. That's becoming my favourite saying lately. Right, I am going to do up these sides with the blue as well, so that it looks like the side of the clock is the same colour as the face. And that includes also do these bits that are coming into contact with the clock. I'll put you on pause for this section. I don't think you need to see a time lapse of this bit. I've done the best I can with the blue. I have had to clean up around the edges many times because I keep, needing to top up the blue on a spot that I've missed or something and have to clean up again. Now I'm going to move on to the red. So I've got the eye and a nostril, I think that is, and the markings on the spine, and these sections here that have got intermittent openings. So I'll put you on a time lapse for this bit. think that's the best I can do. Would you believe this video is at 1 hour 35, and that's even though I paused for the blue bit. I am going to leave it for a little while now to let any alcohol or the liquid from the wipes evaporate before I come and do some black resin. Alright, I'll see you in a jiffy. Right, I'm back, and I haven't mixed up the resin yet, just while I'm starting to get that ready. I'm sure when I did this the first time, and I actually intended to do it in 3 layers for some reason. So even though I thought I was going to be doing a thin layer, because of the size of the mould, I'm sure I mixed up 200 millilitres, and it was way too much. It came almost to the top. And then the second time, I think I'd changed my mind about doing 3 layers and decided to do 2. So I think I mixed up 100. So I'm going to do, I am going to do 100 this time. Literally, it only needs to be enough to cover the base. It doesn't need to be halfway even. I just want it deep enough that if there's any mica powders going to float, they've got some room to float. So I shall just dead quickly keep recording while I pour this and start to mix, and then I'll pause the video to finish mixing. I'm doing it in a plastic cup because I don't want to have to clean black out of one of my silicone cups. I want to be able to just throw it away. Right, that has gone to nearer 55, so I'm going to go to 110 total. This is amazingly bubble free, and the first time I did it I thought, it's lying to me, it's deceiving because it's so black, there must be thousands of bubbles under there. But no, as you saw when I showed you the first piece, which I'll stick a photo of that up again as well at the end so that you can compare. But that first piece was 100% bubble free, apart from in these little corners around these bits, where, as you should know by now, if you've watched and worked with resin for a while, if you've watched resin channels for a while, you should know that 90-degree angles cause bubbles. So that wasn't the resin, that was I didn't go around my angles. Okay, so on with the pouring. So I shall be quiet and time-lapse you unless I feel the need to discuss anything along the way. Okay, so I've basically gone around the whole piece, checking that there is resin covering the whole of the bottom, and pushing it into the ends where needed. I do need to go around it again with a cocktail stick to check those 90-degree angles. I tried doing it with that tool, but that tool is too fat, so you're just pushing resin up. So I will do the cocktail stick thing now. Now you just got to be careful where you've got powders. You don't want to be scratching all your powders off. So I'm just going to go around the outsides of these first, and then I'll come back a bit more gently to go around the middles. There's no way that I can with those intricate little squares. I can't see where they are, so I'm just going around the corner of the clock itself, which is outside of that ring. I'll just have to hope for the best with those shapes. I'll come and check it every hour or so. I maybe won't put it on the heat mat because there's no rush to cure it really, because I'm not going to be able to come back to it until tomorrow night. So I think the front is going to be bad again. I might have to give up with using powders and start just using pigments. Right, I will give that a squirt of alcohol and then come back and check it in an hour or so. Give it another squirt, just basically check it for the next 2 or 3 hours until it's time for me to go to bed. So, I will see you in the morning. You'll see me when? Yep, in a jiffy. We're back and it's only been around 12 hours, not on the heat mat, and it is fully cured. Not a bubble in sight. I have had to pop a couple of bubbles around the rim of the clock area, so that could be because of that track line pattern around the edge of the clock. You can see that some mica powders have floated. Okay, so because this video is so long, I will probably put you back on pause for the rest of this. Obviously you don't need to see me just pour this again and basically go around the edges with my toothpick, but just before I pause you, I said I will time lapse all of the colouring. I wanted you to see the different ways that I colour the different sections. So obviously with the silver, I used a micro brush for small pieces, the tracks around the edges. For the numbers, I used the eyeshadow sponges. For the blue, I used the small makeup brush, just so that you can brush it on quicker than a sponge. And for the red, I used the eyeshadow sponge, and I coated both sides of that so that I could do both sides of the wing section at the same time. I also used the micro brush for the corners of these wing sections, because the eyeshadow brush doesn't get all the way into the corners, but because they are so small, they also tend to scratch off the existing colours. So I just went back and forth between eyeshadow sponge and micro brush for the reds in the wings, and for the reds on these patches on the head and spine, I used the eyeshadow sponge, and I think I maybe went over some of the smaller bits with the micro brush as well. But again, it was just a hassle with having to clean up and then accidentally wiping off a bit of the colour, and the micro brushes sometimes scratching off a bit of what the eyeshadow sponge had done. So it was just a bit of hassle going back and forth, trying to recover any bits that I had taken off, having to re-clean up. So yeah, I just wanted to demonstrate the different styles of colouring the different sections. So, shucks. So what I will probably do then when I come to edit the video is I will start off with the time lapse for each colour, and then delete the rest of that colour and go back to time lapse for the start of the next colour, just so that you get a couple of minutes of each colouring style to make the video shorter. Okay, and with that said, I am going to now put you on pause. So I will see you for demold. Okay, thank you guys. Okay, everybody, let's have a little bit of fun. In the time it takes me to demold this, let's have some comments to say, do you think it is third time lucky or is it an epic fail? Okay, I'm going to demold off camera so that I can't accidentally let you peek from the side. Right, I want something clean for it to lie on, so I'm just going to get out my heat mat that is perfectly clean because it's always got a silicone mat on top of it. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Oh, look how nice that is on the back. There's a little bit of blemish there. There is a bit of blemishing up here, which I will explain in a moment. 3, 2, 1. I am okay with it. I suspected the powders will have still moved around a little. It's not that the powders have moved around, it's my lack of ability to clean up the mould 100%. Yeah, they have moved around a little bit here. So I would say it's not an epic fail, it's livable. So I'm going to call that a success. Up here, it wasn't on a flat surface, so it was tilted with this end a bit lower, so it was overpouring up here. And when I noticed it was too late to right it to make the resin flow back the other way, it was too far gone to flow back. But what I did was I caught it in a semi-jelly state where I was able to demold it enough just to peel away a section of the mould and then get my clippers and just go around it. Because if it got 100% solid before I came to trim it up, I'd have difficulty trimming it up and probably end up having to sand it and polish it, which I'm no good at. I haven't developed those skills yet. So I wanted to catch it when it was jellyish. Oh, let me move my heat mat out. I need to find something else to put that on to keep it clean. I do not want to accidentally cut into my heat mat. So let's just do this for now. Let's turn it over and have a proper look on a white background. There you go. Yeah, from a distance that is a lot nicer, and reds are lovely and vibrant. So all that's left to do now is to give it a bit of a trim.